You guys know how I feel about Pixar movies. You know how I feel about them. You know how I feel about Disney Pixar movies. They don't miss. Steph Curry, 3-point shot. They ain't missing. Soul, it's another Pixar movie that came out in 2020. I actually saw it the same time I saw About Time for the first time. Which is two movies kind of with the same premise and ideals behind them. And Soul, I don't know what else to say about this movie, but it was a freaking phenomenal movie. And I just can't wait to talk about it on this episode of Movie Breakdowns. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka, and what is Movie Breakdowns? A movie review series where we look at new and old movies, give them a grade A through F, pluses and minuses do count. And there's a movie you want me to review? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. I also have a Patreon, Patreon/Ali Zakka, and on that Patreon, you get first come, first serve. You ask me to do a movie review, I do it immediately, get it put up on Patreon, because you're paying for my services, so why wait? Also, on top of that, you get other stuff like trailer reaction, trailer reviews, and first thoughts, and much, much more. And now, let me get into today's review of Soul. This movie came out at the end of 2020, like December, I believe, of 2020. But this review, it's been a few months. It's on Disney Plus. You can go watch it anytime. So you just haven't watched it because you didn't feel like watching it. But I think you should watch it. This movie is very, very not important to watch, but it's definitely a movie you should not skip over in the Pixar history of movies or Disney lineup. This is a movie I think everybody should sit down and watch and really listen to, review it, think about it, talk about the think pieces of it, because there's so much in this movie. It's not just a kid's movie. This movie is about, like, it's adulthood as well. And it's a lot of stuff that goes on with people's lives. This is a movie that everybody, no matter what race, creed, color, gender, whatever you are, could get behind this movie and enjoy this movie. And I think you definitely should watch this movie. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. This is a Friday movie. Heck yes. Yes, I want to say something else, but I'm not trying to get demonetized, which I'm not even getting paid for this. But anyway, that's neither here or there. This is gonna have spoilers in it. Just give you guys a heads up. And I just want to dive right into Soul, which technically Joe, the main character, does dive into Soul to get into his soul body. You seen it? No, okay. But anyway, so what happens is Joe is a music teacher and he really wants to play in a jazz club. He wants to be a part of a jazz band. He really wants to be that. He wants to be on the road. He wants to do the jazz life and be a musician, play piano for a jazz crew. And that's his, he feels like that's his life passion. That's his goal. That's what he was born to do. And he keep getting opportunity after opportunity, but then it just doesn't, where it happens, it doesn't goes through. They just say reject him. The opportunity comes to the end and he just keeps his head up and keep rolling. And while he's doing that, waiting for that one big break, he's been a music teacher. So at the beginning of the movie, you see him as a music teacher, and then probably within the next couple of minutes, he gets a shot to audition for a renowned jazz musician's crew. And he nails it. He nails the audition, gets the job, excited about it, not paying towards anybody, calling his friend, telling him what's going on, falls down a hole and dies. He wakes up dead on the elevator or escalator towards the great beyond. And he's like, nope. Trying to get out, jumps through this, jumps off of the escalator and finds himself into the great before, where it's where every soul kind of get their identity and personality before going to the real world. And there's something that he has to find. One of the characters named 22, he meets, is missing their spark, because every soul needs a spark. Now, what is the spark? It's the thing that when you see it, it lights you up. It's the thing that gives you immediate passion, immediate, what's the word I'm looking for? Determination and drive. It's like if you're an artist, you love to draw. If you are somebody who like to watch movies and that's your spark. You like to watch movies and talk about movies, that's your spark. It's what lights you up. It's the thing that you get excited about. It's that thing. Football, dance, cooking, whatever the case may be. The spark. Everybody has one except for 22. 22, nobody can help them find a spark. And Joe gets assigned to get in this character as Spark. Now, some of the most renowned people who be sent down as mentors. You got Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Muhammad Ali. I think Einstein was there. You have not Leonardo da Vinci. Like you have other like philosophers and great people in the world who pretty much are have been mentors to 22, and they can't help her get the spark. She has pretty much just. Anytime they tried, just kind of shut them down. They all got flustered and flustered. Well, Joe's like, well, if I can get her a spark, I can get back home. Because she doesn't want to go to the earth. She doesn't want to be a part of life. So I just get the spark. I can go return to my real world. And he has a time crunch here. Because he dies like at noon or midday. And he has to get back home by 7:30 before he performs. And eventually, Joe and 22 does manage to get back to earth. Meeting this guy who can get people back to earth through what is called like the zone. So when you get into the zone, let's say you're doing something, let's say you're playing playing an instrument, and you get so deep into it that you zone out. You don't nothing else matters but what you're doing. And also, when we get to the zone scene, we also learn about people who get so stressed out or so focused on something that it consumes them where they're no longer themselves anymore, and that's the only thing they can think about. And I forgot the name they use for these kind of like characters that turn into monsters that just obsess over something, like the negative thoughts eat them away of it. So you meet that, and you get the people in the zone who just are there doing the things. And 22 has a little joke where she messed with a team for years. Every time they get into the zone about to do something great, she knocks them out and end up in the New York Knicks, which I was like, ah, that's messed up. But anyway, they get back home through the zone method. However, Joe and 22 fall into Earth at the same time. Joe falls into a cat, 22 falls into Joe's body, and now you have like a buddy cop kind of switcheroo scene where the two people are living in each other's bodies, kind of face off kind of thing. And I think it's neat. It's neat because you get to see Joe see how everybody reacts to his life, reacts to him through the eyes of a cat. So you can see everything, how everybody treats him and how people are receptive of him. And also 22, who's living her life and being her actual self within Joe's body, is telling others like, no, this is how I feel about this, how I feel about that. And people are reacting to her as a different way because they think it's Joe. And one of my favorite scenes is the barbershop scene, because you have a barber who Joe's like, this is his man's calling, this is his spark, this is what he does. And the barber's like, nah, that was never my calling, this was never my thing. Like, I didn't want to be a barber, I actually want to be a veterinarian. My daughter got sick, so I took up barber school because it was cheaper than being veterinarian school. Which, I love that, because it shows how in life, things don't go the way you want them to go. You do something else happens, you gotta switch to something else, but maybe you find enjoyment in something else that wasn't the original thing you wanted to do. And I love that. I love that because it shows that life happens and things change and you have to change, but it doesn't mean your life has to suck because you're not doing the exact thing you want to do. And Joe kind of sinks in, and then it furthers on through, because eventually what happens is they meet Moonwind, the guy who kind of gets them back to Earth. He had to get them back to the afterlife to get, or the great before, to get them swapped back into their bodies. And eventually does happen. While they're on Earth, I should say though, 22 does find a spark. We don't really know what it is, but she does get a spark while she's on Earth and gets her Earth pass. So now she's free to go to Earth. And I'm gonna talk about more of that later. But Joe eventually does get back in his body. He does the play with the jazz group and have a great night. And everybody's like, it's the best night ever. And Joe starts to think like, what else is there? Like, is it just this? And the renowned musician's like, yeah, we just do this all over again, over and over and over again, and come back and do it again. Joe's like, huh, maybe it's more to life than just that. Like, he got the thing he truly wanted, but he realized it wasn't really what he wanted trope. But it was told in a different way that you don't really get to see it like normally told, and I applaud that. And Joe kind of like has a moment, and he's thinking about life again, and he thinks of 22, and he goes back to the great before by zoning out, gets back into the great before, finds 22, who is being consumed by these horrible thoughts. So what happened when Joe went back? He told 22 that, like, no, you got this earth path because of me. You're not going to amount to anything in a sense. And 22 took it in as that. So when Joe finally confronts 22, you get to go inside 22's mind where all the negative thoughts, where people had told her over the years that she's trash, she can't do it, she doesn't think about anything else, she's worthless, she's horrible. All these negative thoughts are now sinking in on her. She didn't let it really hit her. It was kind of eating away at her. But when Joe did it, it really tore her down. And Joe had to remind her, like, no, 22, you're good, you're okay, you're good. But like, he had to bring her back up, and he did. He gave her back her earth pass. And the reason why 22 never really wanted to go to earth, because she never really, she was scared, put it that way. She was never really like happy about going to earth. She wasn't sure how earth would be like. She didn't know what living could be. So her anxiety of not going to earth really scared her, because she didn't want to know if she had a horrible life. She didn't want any of that. She just like, she's wanted to be somewhere where she's familiar with, comfortable with, and that was the great before. She was comfortable there. She know what's gonna happen. She knew what the next day is gonna be like. She know what all this stuff. There is no change. She didn't have to change. She meet a new person every couple of weeks and tell them to get over it, go back to your life. And at the end of the movie where Joe's like, hey, it's life, I'm here with you, he becomes a really good mentor, which he was a teacher, so he can pretty much translate that over. And her and 22, I would take a really touching scene where 22 and Joe jumps down to earth together. Joe can't go back to earth because he doesn't have earth pass. And they eventually have to separate, but 22 like finally has the gumption and puts away the anxiety to go to earth and live life, which I love that. I love the take on anxiety in this movie. I love the take on your goals and dreams and what you think you should be meant to be doing, but really it's not exactly what you really should be doing. It's just live life, enjoy life, and don't put pressure on yourself. And I love that whole take and conversation that this movie brings up. And the take on anxiety, as a matter of fact, there's multiple times in the movie where 22, you start to see her anxiety kicks in. When she first gets out the hospital and has to go into a busy street in New York, she's like, this is all too much at once. And Joe's like, just go. Like, he's done this 100 times. Just get out there. And she's like, I'm in the biggest place of the world, the most claustrophobic place of the world, New York City. Okay, all right, here we go. And like the lights and the sounds all this kind of hit her all at once, versus Joe, who's like used to it. I love that little take on that kind of things, where like people might be afraid to do something because they're scared and they're not really sure what the future might hold. So they're like, I can just stay here in my place where I know everything's comfortable, or I can go out into the world and experience something new that I never experienced before. Like, that is it takes some guts to do that sometimes. And I love that take on anxiety and take on just going after your goals and dreams and saying, you know what, I don't know what the future may hold, but I know if I stay here, nothing's going to change. But I go out there, it might be a whole new world that opens up life. And you know what, time to go for it, time to go get it. So I love that. And what happened to Joe at the end of the movie, he comes back, because he does die at the beginning of the movie, so he's technically dead. He's trying to cheat death. But he does come back, and the kind of like the leaders or the rulers of the Great Beyond, supervisors, whatever you will call them, they say, Joe, you did such a great job of getting 22, somebody we've been trying to get to Earth for a very long time. Give them the Earth, and you inspired us. We want to give you a second chance at life. And Joe does get that second chance, and he goes back. And when he goes back to the real world, he's like, you know what? This time, I'm just going to live life. I'm just going to take every day and live it. And the movie ends like that. Great, 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 great movie. Great writing, great directing, great setup, great pacing. I love this movie. This movie is phenomenal. It is an hour and 47 minutes long. Definitely worth the watch. It is directed by Pete Docter and Kim Powers was co-director. Kim Powers worked on One Night in Miami, and Pete Docter worked on The Incredibles. He also worked on Up. Just great for those two. The cast, by the way, you have Jamie Foxx, who played Joe Gardner, and Jamie Foxx really, to me, brought Joe to life. He made Joe seem like a real person, a person where you can get behind him, you can see what he's doing, see how his life is. And remember, there's a scene where like all these great people have all these great things, great events, these things that put them on the top, or their great life moments. And then you can see Joe's life, and it's just very simple, common stuff. There's a statue of him sitting next to a laundromat. That is a pivotal point of his life. Most of it is sitting down in a chair and just moving day by day like a normal person. Like I actually love that. Not like, but love the fact they show like a normal life. And just like, it's nothing so renowned and so great. It's just simple things. He has his life museum is like cologne and body spray. That is part of his life. I thought it was neat. 22, played by Tina Fey. Didn't even notice it's Tina Fey when I first heard it. She did a great job. The voicing, the expressions. She gave 22 a life of her own. I thought she did great. And that's really it. Like I guess I can talk about Graham Norton, who plays Moonwind. He did a good job, but it's really just Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx's movie. I don't know what else to really say about that. Since this is an animation movie, I would say the animation style of it, phenomenal. Like just really, really great. There's certain time where you might look at a character, you might not realize that's animation, or it might be a real person. Like it is so good, the little detail and design. There's a scene where Joe walks down the stairs into the jazz bar, and you can see like the lighting and the shading and the little stitches on his clothes and the way he moves. It's great. Pixar just doesn't miss with that stuff. It is some very, very great animation. Yes, I'm gushing because it is so good. You need to watch this movie. This is a movie worth watching. Also, the different designs and different takes on certain stuff. Like, there's a character named Terry. Matter of fact, Terry, played by Rachel House. He's pretty much like a line. He's like a mouse, but he's like just like a light line. And it's an outline, and he shifts through things. There's a scene where he has to figure out which soul escaped. He's the accountant. He accounts every soul that dies and the soul that escapes. So he like goes to each file cabinet, and you can hear the paper flip and this paper movement, and he's like open one file cabinet, and go open another file cabinet, open another file cabinet, until he gets all the way to the Joes, or to the G's, because Joe Gardner gets to the G's, but he starts with number like AA. Like it is so good. But his design was neat, and then also some of the design in the afterlife, like when Joe falls through like the great before and goes into the great beyond, falls to the great beyond, like jump off the escalator to the great beyond and falls into the great before. Like it's a transition, and the transition details and designs all neat and just really done. The artwork is phenomenal. Even when like Terry snags Joe or snags another character out of the real world, and they go from being in color to like just fading out into like a gray still of themselves. The artwork is beautiful. It's beautiful. And the music is great. The music is great as well. The jazz mixed in with a little drama, mixed with a little orchestra. I freaking love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Yes, this is a Friday night movie. Grading time. I'm going to grade the movie Soul from 2020 an A+. This is an A+ movie. I can't find anything wrong with this movie. I love it. If I start finding things wrong, I'll be super nitpicking, like, I don't even know. I paused because I don't have anything wrong to say about this movie. Not one thing. The talking pieces that come out of this movie is great. The anxiety, talk about anxiety, living life, just being yourself, like those things are great. What you think your goal should be in life, and sometimes what you think your goal should be is not what your goal really really is. It's just something you decide to choose, and when you get your first spark, like something you enjoy, so you get a spark about it and you go after that passion. But like that passion that comes from what your spark is it's something that you can do, but it doesn't have to be your calling. You shouldn't force that to be your calling, or be okay to shift to something else because what you're going after might not work out. Like it is phenomenal. I love it. I love this movie. It is just great. And I'm just gonna stop talking about it because you need to go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch the movie Soul. Sit down, put the hour and 40 minutes into it. You will enjoy it. If you've seen Soul, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Hear what your thoughts are. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns. And keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episodes of Movie Breakdowns or Grind Towards Success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. Keep being awesome.